guys, welcome back to my computer science paper 2 Python coding tutorials. In this video we're going to be talking about strings and basically everything not strings you'll need for GCSEs. So obviously you just start by making a new file, save it somewhere. So, strings. Just a quick refresher on strings, they're just any text, right? And you make them by putting them in double quotes, and if you're using idle, which it probably would be, they go green. So, there are various things you can do to strings, and I'm going to explain the main ones you'll need a lot, and also just some additional ones that are in the document that's actually in the description. But I'm not sure you'll need as much, but they may come up, they may have them. Effectively, the main ones you want to know about, let's say I've got a string, let's just have a test string called test is equal to hello world. So, the first thing we can do on this, let's just have it print out test at the beginning, is we can do len test. So you just say len, short for length, and pass any string in. So I can just say hello world in here, or you can pass in a variable with a string in it, and that just tells you how many characters are in here. So if I print len of test, if I print it, you can see 12, and yeah, you can see there are 12 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And yes, it does include spaces, punctuation, that sort of thing. Every character in here. So don't get confused if it's counting spaces as well. That's a very important one. Remember that, len, brackets around it. So this kind of thing of having brackets around is different for most of these things. So let's say I wanted to make test uppercase or lowercase fully. Let's put some capitalization in here just so it'll be obvious when it changes. Or why don't we just make this all capitalized? So we say test dot lower bracket, so you can see this is actually, if we just see this len, if we just move these brackets away, see you say len, pass it in. With the other ones it's different, you say bar dot lower, or whatever. So you're actually running something on test rather than passing something into this len function. And so what this will do is it will return test as a lowercase 1. And so important thing to remember, this doesn't make test lowercase. So if I just say test afterwards this, as you can see, the real test is still this, right? No changes have been made to test. So when you say test.lower, all this does is return a value that is a modified version of test, rather than actually changing what test is equal to. But if I wanted to change test, I could simply just go test equals test.lower. So just remember, it won't change test unless you explicitly tell it to. And you can see that's come out like that. So let's just go back to what we had. So alongside with lower, we have upper, which is self-explanatory, just makes it uppercase. You can see it's made all uppercase. So those are the main important ones. Well, I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of the other ones that are on this document, just in case you need to know them. If you say test dot find, and you pass in, let's say just So it can either be like one letter or like a sentence. It will give you back the location of the whatever you pass in here back, and it will return -1 if it can't find it. String or like test.index. Test.index is very similar, except it will crash, like it will give you an error if it can't be found, as with find it gives you -1, as you can see. And then alongside the upper and lower ones we have dot is lower and is upper. So these just return true or false. So if we just change this to let's just say just the letter H. So we do is lower, it'll be false. But if we do it is is upper, you can say it's true because this is true, and this goes for all of them. So if I got lowercase e, it's false, but then if I do uppercase one, it's true. So this tests if every character is uppercase. If I've got a space like this, it just ignores that because they don't have cases. Yeah, so is upper, is lower, is alpha, which just checks if all of the characters, wrong. Checks if all of the characters are alphabet characters, like letters. So there's a space in this one, so it returns false, but if it's just these two letters, see, it's true. And then there's also this. So if I did that, you would see it's false. But then if I said num, which is short for alphanumeric, it checks if all the characters are like letters or numbers. And if you just want to test for numbers, you can say is digits, and this will be false because it's got two letters in it. But if I just do some numbers, it's true. So these tests I've just gone through are, if you want to make code that will never have an exception, never fail like this, you can easily test if what the user's passed in is correct or whatever. That's the main thing you're going to be using these for. So there's a couple of other ones. There's string.replace, which should be fairly self-explanatory. You pass in what you want to replace. So let's say we want to replace that 65 at the beginning with 88. We simply just do that, and you see it's replaced this here. This just replaces whatever string. So the first string you put in, it looks for that, and if it finds it, it changes it into the second one. So also we can have string.split, which returns a list of all the substrings in the original using this character's separator. I'll explain what that means. So if I have two words, hello world, they've got a space in between them. Let's say I want to separate these two words. So I do this. So the default separator for split is a space. So this is the same as if you pass in a space like that. So what's happened here is it's split the string into a list of two strings. So this is what it looks like when you print out a list of two strings, which are hello and world. And it split it at the space, and you can split this at any character. You can split it at the W. So you see it's hello space old. Says one last one before I get into the next bit of this video, which is strip, which is an interesting one. It also defaults to space, but it does something different. So if I've got lots of spaces at the beginning or end, strip clears them. So you can see there's all these spaces on this one, but there's none here. So it just removes this character from the beginning and end of it, and you can see the ones in the middle are preserved. And yeah, like I said, this would be the same if I did that. These were, let's say, lots of full stops. I could get rid of all of them. So that's quite useful. To be honest, most of the ones I just went through, you won't need to know. It's mostly len, and maybe the upper and lowercase ones, but even then you don't need to know. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory. I think just remember alnom is alphanumeric, and that sort of thing. Most of them probably won't come up, but here is something really important. Let's just put this back to hello world for now. We're getting into the important bit, the main bit of this video, which is string.format. So, these strings are really useful. Let me just quickly explain to you what they are. If I have something like this, where I have hello and then this, if I just printed this, it would just go as expected, right? Like, oh, wait, ignore this. It would just print this as a string because it's just a string. But this is where it gets a bit weird. So this curly bracket thing is kind of an argument to this string. If I do .format, I can put in a value for this placeholder. So I can say world. Wait, am I stupid? Oh yeah, I am stupid. And then just print this out. You see, it's replaced these curly brackets with world. So when you run .format on this, it knows these are like quote unquote arguments you can pass into a string, which is really cool. So there's different formats you can do this. Let's say I had like a couple of them. I can either have, I can put names in these. I can say like W here, I can say bar or something, and then here I would have say W equals world, comma, bar, it's equal to frog, I don't know. And then you can see it substituted them in because it knows this one's W and this one's bar. And it gets better than that. So if I just go back to world and frog, I can also just put indexes in here, as in numbers. So if whatever was formatted in here, I kind of wanted it in a different order for whatever reason. I'll explain why this is useful later. Start counting from 0. I can say, so it defaults just to this. So you can see it just puts them like this. But then also, if I want to reverse the order of these, you can see it's actually going backwards from here because this is basically a list, right? You're passing in a list to this format. So index 0 of the list, the first item in the list is world. So if I pass world in here, goes there, frog in the first bit because 1 is the second item because 0 is the first item in this list of things you're passing into this format thing. So this is quite useful for obvious reasons. You can pass values in, you can kind of do strings easier. Basically, like it's because if you wanted to do this before, you'd have to say hello plus, and if I it's useful to have strings like this. So another thing you can do is you can format things in here. So this is a bit I always got confused about because it is quite confusing. So if we put colons in here, if we want to do our W or whatever, we just put it before the colon because we got this value and we're kind of doing something to it. And so the things you can do with this, this is kind of for like making tables and stuff. If you want to make like a table of things and you want each column to be its own width and that sort of thing. So how you do this, right, this is quite important because it may come up. This is actually something they want you to talk about. So first of all, you can set how big the space this W can take up. So I've got world. World is 5 characters. Let's say I wanted this to take up 10. Let's just get rid of these ones quickly. So as you can see, there's a big space here. So what's happened here is there's a column of 10 and it's fitting world into it. The word world, which has 5 characters. So this is aligning to the left currently. Left, so right. This world is in the space of 10. And when you're printing it in Python, it just puts that on the left, right? But if I want it to align on the right, if I wanted to force it to align on the left, I use that character before the width of the column, by the way. If I wanted to go to the right, I use the other arrow bracket, and you can see it's pushed to the right. This space is this space here. Remember, this is still a string. Everything outside of the curly brackets is still just normal string things. And you can see there are 5 characters here because this is a column of 10 characters and it's aligned to the right of it. And if I use the carry character, which is above 6, it will center it. So there are like 2, 3 on each side. So this is useful for making tables, obviously, because you're going to have set column lengths no matter how big, whatever you're passing in. You can have it centered or to the right or to the left or whatever. Another useful thing, if I'm passing numbers in here, let's say actually let's do a little crossover episode. I've got the math function here, and I've got stuff with pi. And let's say I wanted to print pi for whatever reason. And let's just do pi divided by 2. Oh, here's another thing. If it's not going to fit in a column, it overflows. So it won't truncate whatever you put in. It will just go bigger than the limit you've put here. Which is a little annoying at times, but like I don't know how you're supposed to do it. So basically, what I can do now, this has too many decimal places, both of these. So what I can do here, let's just have a way with this quickly. You can say dot, past this colon again, dot, let's just put it to 2 decimal places, dot 2 f. So as you can see, it's rounded our horrific pi just down to 3114. Nice little number. So what is actually going on here? Right, let's break it down. Colon just kind of says, the fact there's nothing here, we can say indexes just to make it less confusing. How about that? So take the 0th, first item of this list you're passing in, colon, I'm doing some stuff to it, dot 2 decimal places, and it's f. Don't really need to know what it means yet. It's basically just saying this is a decimal number. So if we're doing decimal places, do dots, how many decimal places you want it to have, F. This also works if you want 0 decimal places. You can see it's just 3. And I can do the same for this one, dot 4F. So you can see I've got 4 decimal places, 2 decimal places. So that is very useful. And yes, you can have this with the columns as well. Simply just put the column width before. So let's say we want to put it in there. So we just, this can get quite confusing if you're looking at this. Don't think of this as 8.2F, this is not. This is 8, and then also this thing, 0.2F. As you can see, it's, because, right, now here's the thing. Because it's a number, it's right aligned rather than left aligned, which can be a little confusing. So I can make it go left aligned like we did before, just before the number, or center aligned, or right aligned again. And then I can do this for the other one as well. This can be quite useful for manipulating strings, doing decimal places. The decimal place one, they're going to ask you a lot. So remember dot, whatever number, F, right? That's decimal places, and this number says how many decimal places. If you want different alignments, you have up for center, left for left, obviously, and then right for right. Couple last things here. So if I have 2 strings, you probably should know about this already. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but if I have 2 strings, I can concatenate them by saying the plus symbol. Oh, not in quotes. Let's just get rid of all this for now. Whoop. You can see it's pushed them together, no space here. If you want to automatically add space and stuff, you can use a comma instead. Do note this will only work in the print statement, nothing else, because this comma means next argument, but print, you only are printing stuff, so it's okay. So remember, if you want to add 2 strings together, just add them, you know, and it just sticks them together. So that's quite useful, but also, once again, to do with maths, this is a really useful feature that Python has that you might not need in your exams, but you should definitely remember because it's really cool, is you can do the asterisk symbol above 8, which is used in maths to represent times, and you can then put a number. So this one should be pretty obvious. All it does is it just says that 10 times, because I've said times by 10, so I can say 5, whatever. So this is useful for the table things, because let's say test was, I'm trying to build some sort of table or something, and I want a line going across or something. I have that times, so just remember times just repeats that however many times. Also, strings can kind of be thought of as lists of characters. So if I go back to my hello world, they can kind of be thought of in the same way as when we talked about lists before. If I have a test, I can, if you remember the square bracket thing, I can take what is called a string slice. So if I just want the first, like, 2 characters of this, I can do that, and it just gives me the first 2. If I want the middle couple, I can just do that. You can see it's taken these characters. If I just want all the characters past 4, I'll just do that. So these sort of things we talk about with lists can be applied to strings. So to recap, lots and lots of things. Len gives you the length of the string. Find finds a character or string within the string. So then you put brackets around it like that. But all of the other ones you say string dot with brackets at the end. So string dot find, yeah, it finds the string or character you pass in the original string and returns -1 if it's not found. Dot index does effectively the same thing except stops the program if it can't find it. Dot is alpha dot is alnom dot is digit checks if it's either a letter, alphanumeric, which is letter or number, or a number, respectively. String dot replace replaces some certain bits of the string into other bits. Dot split splits a string into multiple, like a list of strings, using a certain character as like the splitting point. And strip gets rid of excess characters such as spaces by default or dots or whatever on the beginning and end of it. Dot upper dot lower, make it uppercase or lowercase. Dot is upper dot is lower, checks if it's uppercase or lowercase. Dot format. And now this is the important bit you need to remember again. It changes these placeholder things you have in here, these curly bracket loops, into certain things, and inside of these, if you want to change stuff about what you pass in, so let's say I'm passing in hello, you have a little colon. So with this you can either do indexes, you can have specific names in here, and if I want to change stuff about this, I have a colon, and there's a specific order for this. You start off with the alignment within the area it's given, so that's up for center, left for left, right for right. So once I've picked one of these, how big the area that you're allowed to be is in, so like 8 for instance. And then you can also do decimal places, so if I want this to 2 decimal places, I do dot to F, and remember this is not 8.2, this is 8 and then something else, 0.2, so if I got rid of this, this would still exist. This is how many decimal places, this F you don't really need to know what it is. And at the end of all of that, you can do string times something, how many times you want to repeat that, which can be useful for making like the edge of the boxes and stuff. And then you can also do what's called string slicing, where you can effectively treat strings like, you can effectively treat strings like lists, and you can do this square bracket thing we did with lists, where you say da 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 da, just by itself could be, and that just takes like the first character or a group of characters depending on what you put in. That's strings. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe now. Thank you. Leave a like. Goodbye.